The Fox Who Walked Beside the Tiger, a gentle bedtime story inspired by the Chinese fable, The Fox Borrows the Tiger's Power. Long, long ago, in a deep green forest where the trees whispered softly in the evening wind and the moonlight rested like silver dust upon the leaves, there lived many animals. There were deer with gentle eyes, rabbits with soft white tails, monkeys who loved to swing from branch to branch, birds who sang in the morning, and squirrels who hid little treasures beneath the roots of old trees. And in that same forest, there lived a tiger. The tiger was strong, proud, and powerful. His paws were heavy, his claws were sharp, and his roar could shake the leaves from the highest branches. Whenever the tiger walked through the forest, the animals became quiet. The birds stopped singing. The rabbits hid in their burrows. The deer ran lightly into the trees. Even the monkeys climbed higher and higher until they were almost hidden among the clouds of green leaves. Everyone knew the tiger was the most feared animal in the forest. But in that same forest, there also lived a fox. The fox was not big. He was not strong. He did not have sharp claws like the tiger. He did not have great antlers like the deer. He did not have wings like the birds. But the fox had one thing that many animals noticed. He had a very quick mind. He was clever, sometimes perhaps a little too clever. The fox loved to walk through the forest at twilight when the sky turned soft purple and the first stars began to appear. He liked to listen to the sound of the wind, smell the flowers closing for the night, and look for berries near the bushes. One evening, as the fox was walking along a narrow path, he heard something behind him. Step, step, step. The sound was slow and heavy. The fox froze. He turned his head slightly. There behind him, walking through the shadow of the trees, was the tiger. The tiger's golden eyes shone in the dim light. His tail moved slowly from side to side. His great paws pressed into the earth. The fox felt his heart jump. Oh no, he thought, the tiger has found me. The tiger came closer. The fox wanted to run, but he knew he could not outrun the tiger. He wanted to hide, but there was no place nearby. So the fox stood very still. The tiger looked down at him and said in a deep voice, "Little fox, you are just what I need. I am hungry tonight." The fox's ears trembled, but his mind began to move quickly. He knew he had only one chance. So he lifted his head, stood as tall as he could, and spoke in a calm voice. "Tiger," said the fox, "you must not eat me." The tiger blinked. "I must not eat you?" he asked. "And why not?" The fox looked very serious. "Because I have been chosen by the heavens to be the ruler of this forest." The tiger stared at him. The wind moved softly through the trees. For a moment there was silence. Then the tiger laughed. It was a deep, rumbling laugh. "You?" said the tiger. "A little fox? The ruler of the forest?" "Yes," said the fox. "I know it may surprise you, but it is true. The heavens have given me great authority. All the animals fear me now." The tiger narrowed his eyes. "All the animals fear you?" "Yes," said the fox, "every one of them." The tiger lowered his head until his face was close to the fox. "If that is true," he said, "then prove it." The fox smiled gently, though inside he was still very afraid. "Very well," said the fox. "Walk behind me through the forest. You will see with your own eyes. When the animals see me, they will run away." The tiger thought for a moment. He was proud, but he was also curious. "Very well," said the tiger. "I will walk behind you, but if you are lying, I will eat you at once." The fox nodded. "Follow me," he said. And so the fox began to walk. He walked slowly and calmly along the forest path. Behind him walked the tiger. The moon had risen higher now, and the forest was filled with soft blue light. The air was cool. The leaves moved like quiet waves above them. Soon they came to a small clearing where several rabbits were nibbling grass. The rabbits looked up. First they saw the fox. Then behind the fox, they saw the tiger. In an instant, the rabbits turned and ran as fast as they could. Their little feet tapped quickly against the ground. They disappeared into their burrows without looking back. The fox turned slightly and said, "You see, tiger? They fear me." The tiger frowned. He had seen the rabbits run away, but he had not thought carefully about why. They walked on. A little farther along, some deer were drinking from a stream. The water was calm and bright beneath the moonlight. The deer lifted their heads. They saw the fox. Then they saw the tiger walking behind him. At once, the deer leapt away. Their graceful legs carried them into the trees where they vanished like shadows. The fox sighed softly, as though this happened every day. "You see," he said, "even the deer cannot stand before me." The tiger's eyes grew thoughtful. The fox continued walking. They passed beneath tall trees where monkeys were resting on branches. One monkey looked down, then another, then another. They saw the fox, then they saw the tiger. The monkeys cried out and climbed higher and higher. Leaves shook, branches swayed. Soon not one monkey remained on the lower branches. The fox glanced back again. "Do you understand now?" he asked. "The forest knows who I am." The tiger said nothing, but he was beginning to wonder. They walked deeper into the forest. The night became quieter. The stars shone between the branches. The fox could hear the tiger breathing behind him. Although the fox looked calm, inside he was counting every step. One step more, he thought, 2 steps more. Keep walking. Do not tremble. Do not look afraid. Soon they came near a pond where cranes stood sleeping on one leg. The birds opened their eyes. They saw the fox. Then they saw the tiger. With a sudden flutter of wings, the cranes rose into the air. Their long white feathers glowed softly in the moonlight as they flew away. The fox stopped and looked back at the tiger. "Well?" he said gently. The tiger looked around. Everywhere they went, the animals fled. The fox had said the animals feared him, and now it seemed to be true. The tiger, who was strong but not always wise, began to believe the fox. Perhaps, he thought, the little fox really had been chosen by the heavens. Perhaps there was some hidden power in him. Perhaps the forest truly feared him. The fox could see the tiger's doubt. So he spoke again, his voice soft and steady. "Tiger, I warned you. I am not an ordinary fox. If you eat me, you will be going against the will of heaven." The tiger took one step back. The fox lifted his chin. "But because you followed me respectfully, I will forgive you." The tiger lowered his head slightly. The fox continued, "You may go now. And remember what you have seen tonight." The tiger looked at the fox for a long moment. Then, slowly, he turned away. His great body disappeared among the dark trees. His footsteps became softer. Step, step, step. Then the forest was quiet again. The fox stood still until he could no longer hear the tiger. Then he let out a long breath. His legs were shaking. His heart was beating fast. But he was alive. The fox looked up at the moon. "Well," he whispered, "that was very close." Then he slipped away into the bushes and went home. The next morning, the forest animals began to talk. "The fox walked through the forest with the tiger behind him," said the rabbits. "We saw it too," said the deer. "The tiger did not eat him," said the monkeys. "Maybe the fox is very powerful," whispered the birds. The fox heard all of this. At first he was pleased. He walked a little taller. He smiled when animals moved out of his way. He began to enjoy the respect that did not truly belong to him. Days passed. The fox started walking through the forest more proudly than before. When he saw the rabbits, he said, "Make room for me." The rabbits moved aside. When he saw the squirrels, he said, "Do not chatter so loudly when I pass." The squirrels became quiet. When he saw the birds, he said, "Sing more softly. I am thinking." The birds lowered their voices. The fox liked this very much, but deep inside, he knew the truth. The animals had not feared him. They had feared the tiger. The fox had borrowed the tiger's power, like a small creature standing in the shadow of something much larger. One afternoon, an old tortoise watched the fox walking proudly down the path. The tortoise was very old. He had lived in the forest for many, many years. He had seen storms come and go. He had seen young trees become tall trees. He had seen proud animals rise and fall. The tortoise slowly lifted his head and said, "Good afternoon, fox." The fox looked down. "Good afternoon, tortoise," he said. "You should bow when I pass." The tortoise blinked slowly. "Why should I bow?" "Because everyone in the forest fears me now," said the fox. The tortoise smiled a little. "Do they fear you?" he asked. "Or do they remember the tiger who walked behind you?" The fox did not answer. The tortoise continued, "Borrowed power is like moonlight on water. It may shine for a while, but it is not something you can hold in your paws." The fox frowned. "I am respected," he said. "Respect," said the tortoise gently, "is different from fear." The fox twitched his tail. "What do you mean?" The tortoise took a slow breath. "When others fear you, they move away. When others respect you, they trust you. Fear makes the forest silent. Respect makes the forest peaceful." The fox looked around. He noticed something he had not noticed before. When he walked by, the rabbits no longer played. The birds no longer sang freely. The squirrels no longer laughed in the branches. The forest had become quiet around him. But it was not the soft, peaceful quiet of bedtime. It was the nervous quiet of fear. For the first time, the fox felt a little lonely. That evening he went to the stream and looked at his reflection. The water showed him a small fox with bright eyes and pointed ears. He was not a tiger. He was only himself. The fox sighed. "I was clever," he said to his reflection, "but was I wise?" The stream did not answer. It only moved gently over the stones. The next day the fox walked through the forest again. He saw the rabbits near the grass. They began to run away. "Wait," said the fox softly. "You do not have to run." The rabbits stopped, but they stayed near their burrow. The fox lowered his head. "I know you were not afraid of me that night. You were afraid of the tiger." The rabbits looked at one another. The fox continued, "I should not have acted as though your fear belonged to me. I am sorry." The rabbits were quiet. Then one small rabbit said, "So you are not the ruler of the forest?" The fox smiled gently. "No," he said, "I am only a fox." The rabbits relaxed a little. Later the fox came to the stream where the deer were drinking. They lifted their heads, ready to flee. "You may stay," said the fox. "I will not trouble you." The deer watched him carefully. The fox said, "I know I let you believe I was powerful, but the truth is, I was only trying to survive." One deer stepped closer. "Were you very afraid of the tiger?" she asked. The fox nodded. "Very afraid." The deer's eyes softened. "We are afraid of him too," she said. For the first time, the fox did not feel proud. He felt understood. As the days passed, the fox changed. He still had a clever mind, but he used it differently. When the rabbits needed help finding a safer path to the meadow, the fox helped them. When the birds warned that a storm was coming, the fox helped the squirrels gather fallen nuts before the rain. When a young deer became lost near the rocks, the fox remembered the winding paths and guided her home. Slowly the forest changed again. The animals no longer became silent when the fox passed. The birds sang, the rabbits played, the squirrels laughed, and sometimes the animals even called out, "Good morning, fox." The fox liked this feeling much more than fear. It was warmer, it was softer, it was real. One night, many weeks later, the fox met the old tortoise again beneath a tree. The moon was full, round, and bright. The tortoise looked at him and said, "You walk differently now." The fox smiled. "Do I?" "Yes," said the tortoise. "Before you walked as if you wanted everyone to see you. Now you walk as if you are part of the forest." The fox sat down beside him. "I thought power would make me feel safe," said the fox, "but it only made me feel alone." The tortoise nodded. "That is often true." The fox looked up at the stars. "Kindness is quieter than power," he said, "but it lasts longer." The tortoise smiled. "That is a wise thought." The forest rested around them. The wind moved gently through the leaves. Somewhere far away, an owl called softly into the night. The fox listened. He no longer needed everyone to fear him. He no longer needed to pretend. He was only a fox. A clever fox, yes, but now perhaps also a wiser fox. And from that time on, when parents in the forest told their little ones the story of the fox and the tiger, they did not only say, "The fox borrowed the tiger's power." They also said, "Benina," but one day the fox learned that borrowed power is not true strength. True strength is not making others tremble. True strength is knowing who you are. True strength is using your mind with kindness. True strength is walking through the world without needing to frighten anyone. And so, beneath the soft moon and the quiet stars, the forest slept peacefully. The rabbits slept in their warm burrows. The deer slept beneath the trees. The birds tucked their heads beneath their wings. The old tortoise rested beside the roots of an ancient tree. And the fox curled up in his little den, listening to the gentle sounds of the night. He closed his eyes. He breathed in. He breathed out. And he felt thankful. Thankful for the moon. Thankful for the forest. Thankful for a second chance. And as the night grew deeper, the forest whispered its softest lesson. Do not borrow fear when you can grow kindness. Do not chase false power when you can build true trust. And when the world becomes quiet, let your heart become quiet too. Sleep well, little one. The forest is peaceful tonight. The moon is watching over the trees. The stars are shining gently above, and every creature, big and small, is resting safely until morning.